Hello everyone, welcome back to my astrology channel. Today we're going to talk about Mars in the fourth house of your horoscope. All right, to understand that, let's first talk about what is Mars. Okay, so what is Mars? Mars is, you can take Mars as a commander of the universe. So if Sun is the king and Moon is the queen, then Mars is a commander of the universe. So Mars is raw action, it's a warrior. Mars is going to go and get that action done, get that job done via the action. Okay, it doesn't think about the consequences. It just likes to get the job done. So, Mars is also courage. Mars is aggression. So, if you have Mars sitting in the first house, that person may be very aggressive. We're going to talk about more qualities of that, but I wanted you to understand what Mars is. All right, so it's a warrior, it's a commander, it's aggressive. It can get temperamental very easily. By it, the native who has this placement can get aggressive very easily, can get angered very easily. Then they don't know what they're doing with their actions when they get angry. Because commander's job, the warrior's job, is basically to go out there and do the war. They don't think who is getting killed, who's getting hurt, whose emotions are at line. So that's kind of like your Mars. Okay. And now let's talk about the three different aspects of Mars. Okay. To understand how and what Mars does on the house, we want to understand Mars and then the aspects. So Mars has three different aspects. First aspect is going to be on the fourth house from where Mars sits. The second aspect is going to be on the seventh house from where Mars sits. And the third aspect is going to be on the eighth house from where Mars sits. Why does Mars have the fourth aspect? Mars, because it's a warrior, and the fourth house in the Kalpurush Kundali is of the house of the home and the mother, your homeland, your motherland. It's a house of happiness. So, warriors are supposed to protect your homeland, your motherland. So, Mars has that special aspect that no other planet has, the fourth aspect, to protect its motherland from where it's sitting. The second aspect is on the seventh house from where it's sitting. Every planet has a seventh aspect, and as I always say, it's kind of like give and take. You give and you get. So Mars by nature is a malefic. It's a natural malefic. So if you give that house malefic, you're going to get back malefic many folds. Just like I mentioned in my Jupiter videos, the seventh aspect, if you give it love, you get back love many folds. So that's kind of the seventh aspect, because it's a straight up 100% aspect on it, drishti, because it's the house is right in front of you. You can't miss it. You're going to look at it. So the next aspect is the eighth house. Why do we have the eighth aspect? Why does Mars have it? Well, in the Kalpurush Kundali, Mars rules the first and the eighth house. So Mars has a special aspect of watching over his own house. Okay, so eighth house is Scorpio, but whatever sign it's placed, it doesn't matter when Mars is aspecting it, because that's going to be the eighth aspect. No other planet has the eighth aspect. So Mars has the fourth and that eighth aspect separate from all the other planets. Jupiter has the 5, 7, 9. Mars has the 4, 7, and 8. Now the eighth aspect, what does Mars do over there? So eighth is his own house. What do you do when you look at your own house? You're going to try to kill off the enemies of that house. So for instance, let's say that eighth aspect ends up being on the fourth house. Now the fourth house is the house of happiness, as I just mentioned. Now Mars is going to want to kill the enemies of the happiness for that native. So that's good. It may seem not good while it's happening, but at the end of the day, that's what Mars' goal is. So now that you understood what Mars is, what are the aspects, let's go into what Mars does when it sits in your houses. So let's talk about Mars in the fourth house of your horoscope. What is house number 4? Well, house 4 is your mother. House 4 is your happiness, your family environment. It's your home. It's the real estate that you build. It's your vehicles. A lot of things on house 4. It's your heart. That's also house 4. So Mars sitting in here, the first thing you want to know is Mars malefic or benefic to your chart? If Mars is malefic to your chart, you're going to see a lot of issues in this horoscope with Mars having mother issues. Mother may be very aggressive. Okay, you may be very aggressive with your mother. You may not have a really good relationship at all with your mother. Perhaps your family environment is not good. You may have a very aggressive relationship. The family environment may be aggressive towards you. Your real estate is not doing well. The properties that you're building are not doing well. Your home, maybe you're not able to build a proper home for yourself. Okay. Maybe your vehicles, you're not able to build those vehicles for yourself. Now, if Mars is benefic for your horoscope or even neutral, those things will go down a little bit. Okay. Your mother may still be aggressive. However, maybe your relationship and your mother's relationship is not as aggressive as it may be. Okay. You may still not be able to build your own home right away up to a certain number of years. However, you may still have a nice home that you're living in, perhaps. Okay. You may still own the luxury cars, but they may not be as luxury as you'd want them to be. Your family environment may be on and off okay for you, maybe not as impacted, but I would say you would still see some impact in your early childhood family environment. That may have been very tough for your mother. Because Mars is sitting in your mother's house, your mother may have faced a very tough initial environment when you were a child. Maybe the family environment was not conducive to you watching how your mother was being treated. Maybe that was the aggression that you had, that your mother's not being treated properly. So those kind of things you may see. You may see issues with getting the house built. Your mother may be having issues with building a house initially when you were growing up. But things would obviously change, after a certain point in your life, because Mars is usually about 28 years of age. After that, things start to ease out for you in your life. Now let's talk about the 3 aspects. Mars places its 4th aspect on house 7. What is house 7? House 7 is your life partner. It's your business partner. It's your spouses. It is your business itself. Okay, so Mars placing an impact on this house could do a few things. Perhaps you want to start your business and you're not able to, and you work in a service job. So if you're not doing your own business, it may not impact you as much. If you were doing your own business, now you could see the impact of it in your business, the business that you start where you own the business. If you have a partner, you may see the impact on the partner. The partner may go through some health issues. The partner may go through something. It could be as much as the partner and you having a common goal, perhaps children you'd like to have, and there are issues with that. Your partner had to face some disappointments. Say if you're a male and your female is your partner, maybe she had to go through a miscarriage or so, etc. So that's impacting your partner. That would be in a male's chart. But most of the time, that 4th aspect on your partner would create issues between you and your partner. You would have, if it's a malefic for you, you could be very aggressive towards your partner. Your mother could be very aggressive towards your partner because the Mars is sitting in the 4th house. But please do check your horoscope before you go and start blaming your mothers for being aggressive. I wouldn't do that. There are many other things that come into play in a horoscope. This is just generalization. You could have other associations. You could have planets sitting in your 7th house, that are going to impact first. The lords of the house, where are they placed? You could have aspects coming from other malefics like Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, things like that too. So just keep all of that in mind. This is just very, very, very basic that I'm telling you. Now let's talk about the 7th aspect of Mars. It's going to be on your house 10. So house 10 is what you give is what you're going to get. Okay. So if you're giving your job the best that you can give, the job is not going to hurt you as much. Like I said, Mars is a naturally malefic. Okay. So if you give somebody pain, it's going to come back to you many folds. Okay. In Jupiter aspect 7, if you give someone love, it's going to come back to you many folds. But Mars is naturally malefic. So when you're giving somebody pain, so if you're not doing your work well, you can be guaranteed it's going to impact you back badly multiple folds versus just the same amount. Okay, so be very careful at your workplace. Do things right, do things with honesty and integrity. Also, Mars sitting in house 4 is debilitated, so it really doesn't have any ego. This is just sitting there, trying to be with mother. It doesn't have a lot of ego, so the aggression part of it goes down in the house 4, because of that debilitation that it has in house 4, called Neech in Hindi, Uch and Neech planets. Now, because it's sitting in the 4th house, it is giving an exalted aspect onto house 7, which means an Uch aspect, Uch Drishti. So the Uch Drishti makes the person hardworking. So the person is going to be hardworking, really going to make difference in their job, may have some ego in their job, however, or may feel that they need to be in a certain position. Maybe they need to be in a managerial position and they're not in a managerial position. So those kind of issues they can kind of see from work. They may try to exert more aggressiveness towards their uh, colleagues or workers that are under them, etc. Now let's talk about the 8th aspect of Mars, which is going to be on house 11. What is house 11? House 11 is your higher income. It's your desires. It's your recognitions, your awards that you want. It is your older brothers and sisters. It's also your relatives. Those kind of things are seen from there. It's your friend network, your social circle, your society. Um, it is also your legs below the knees, and also house 10 is your knees. So be careful in terms of what you eat and things like that. Be careful in terms of try to stay healthy, because your knees could get impacted in the long run as your body weight increases. And same with house 4, because it's a heart house, house of the heart. Mars sitting in here could give you issues with heart. So if you're not eating properly, please eat properly. Please focus on your diet. Please exercise, because that is where your heart is. So house number 11, that's your area below the knees, all the way to the ankles and everything. So again, Mars is sitting in your heart. Mars is aspecting your knees. It's aspecting all the area below your knees. So just be very careful in terms of your eating habits, and be careful overall in those areas. When Mars is aspecting the 8th house, as I mentioned, there could be sudden losses, there could be sudden gains related to that. So you could maybe be expecting an award, a recognition that is maybe taken away from you. You could maybe have a higher income that could get taken away from you. Again, if it's a malefic, right? If it's aspecting house 10, you're not doing your work properly. You have an ego because it's an exaltation, and you result in doing something bad because Mars is a malefic. Now it's going to impact house 11. You will end up suddenly losing your job. So those are the things that it could impact. And hence, if you lose your job, that's a sudden loss of higher income, sudden loss of recognition. It could be not good for your fame either. Usually I've seen people with this position may not have older siblings, their own older siblings. They may have relatives that may be their older siblings, but they may not have their own siblings. So those are the things that I would do. Again, like I say, the 8th aspect is a house of transformation. So you may see some transformation happening due to your award recognitions, your social circle, your society, your relatives. Maybe they've taught you a lot in life and you are learning and transforming yourself through that. So if you have Mars in your 4th house, I would love to see your results. Please go ahead and write it in the comments. And as always, we do provide personal consultation on your horoscope. So reach out to us with the link in the video description, and subscribe. Please hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of our videos. Hit like, share, and thank you so much for watching.